Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Cloud, and welcome to my personal VOD reviews of Locals. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Game 3 for Week 8 of the OP11 Meta, where I played Purple Yellow Robin versus Purple Black Luffy. Here's the deck list that I played in this match, and if you haven't already done so, please go check out the Locals retro video I made that covers this deck list and my overall thoughts on how Locals went this week. Without further ado, let's hop into the game. Game number 3 for Week 8 of the OP11 Meta, I'm playing Purple Yellow Robin versus Purple Black Luffy. And yep, this is the same Purple Black Luffy player that we faced in recent weeks. So I'm really happy to be playing against him again, but at the same time I did lose those past matches, so I'm going to be hoping to take my revenge here. However, I do think that this matchup in particular is going to be very difficult for me. And the reason for that is because the advantages I normally have with Nico Robin against other leaders aren't going to be present in this matchup. First off, both of our leaders can ramp, which means that I'm not going to have any significant Dawn advantage against my opponent. And in fact, it's going to be the opposite. Purple Black Luffy will have the advantage against me because throughout the game, they get to restand quite a few Dawn, which means that I have to be cautious at the extra resources that my opponent has access to. The next thing is that both of our leaders have the Straw Hat Crew typing, which means that we both have access to Gum Gum Giant, a very powerful event that gives plus 4k and draws you 2 cards. I'm going to have a hard time swinging at my opponent's life, knowing that they have access to a very powerful counter event. The third thing is that Purple Black Luffy does have access to 6-cost Beer Luffy, a very strong character that makes my opponent's leader be 7k base until the end of my next turn. So that's going to make it harder for me to swing at my opponent, nullifying my leader's banish ability a little bit, and means that I have to invest more Dawn on my leader or characters, meaning I'm going to have less Dawn to use for other things. Finally, Purple Black Luffy, in my opinion, has a better top end than I do for this match. Additionally, those top end do have rush, so I have to be worried about really big attackers coming at me at the later stages of the game. I think it's going to be really important for me to be able to get blockers on board in order to deal with those really high attacks. But moving on to the dice roll, high roll as usual, I'm going to roll a 5. And my opponent is going to roll an 11, so they get to pick turn order. And it looks like they are choosing to go first, so I will be going second. Let's take a look at my initial opening hand here. There we go. We're starting off with 3-cost Usohachi, 1-cost Nico Ovia, 6-cost Nico Robin, and 2 Gum Gum Giants. Let's do our counter check. We've got a 2k, 2k, and a 1k. Not too bad. Overall, we have 5k counter in hand at the start of the game. That's a really good number, and I like the fact that we have a mix of 2ks and 1ks, so in terms of counter, we're doing pretty good. Looking at the cards themselves, I'm only happy to see 2 cards right now. The first one is the 1-cost Nico Ovia, a very powerful card for Nico Robin since it gives my leader plus 3k for only 1 Dawn. That means I'm going 2 Dawn in efficiency here. Having my leader gain access to easy power boost here means that I have a higher chance to be able to get my banish swing off. So really happy to have the Nico Ovia in hand. The next card is the 6-cost Nico Robin. In this matchup in particular, I think I'm going to be trying to race down my opponent's life, and this Robin helps a lot with that. If I'm able to get a banish swing off early with my leader, that's going to bring my opponent's life from 4 down to 3. And then that's still in range of Nico Robin's ability, which reads, if my opponent is at 3 more life, trash the top card of their life. So if I play the Nico Robin down for 6 Dawn, I can immediately make my opponent go from 3 life down to 2, and on that same turn, follow up with another banish swing from my leader, which is going to force either cards from hand, burning their resources, or send them straight to 1 life. And the nice thing is that whole sequence was essentially banished, meaning that all those cards went straight to the trash, so I know that they're not going to be getting any cards from life into hand. Really powerful sequence for Nico Robin, so I'm really happy to see the 6-cost Nico Robin in hand. Otherwise, the rest of my cards aren't too bad. Having access to a 2k counter is always good, and having access to Gum Gum Giant is also very good. However, with this starting hand, there's two things that I'm seeing here that I think are going to be really important. I don't have access to any blockers, and as I just said, my opponent's going to have really big characters coming at me later on in the game, so not having any blockers means that I'm going to have to deal with a lot of those big swings. And then also, I don't have any card draw. My leader requires me to trash a card with trigger from my hand in order to ramp, which means that I'm going to be naturally going down on hand size. So not having access to card draw really hurts me because I would really like to keep a healthy hand size so that I have options and have enough counters to deal with my opponent's attacks. So those are two reasons why I potentially might mulligan here, but the cards in my hand right now are also very good. So let's see what I decide to do. And okay, we're going to immediately mulligan. Yeah, I think just not having blockers and not having any card draw in hand really hurts me, so we're going to mulligan to try to find them. I will say that Gum Gum Giant does count as card draw because I do draw 2 cards from it. However, I have the Dawn -2, which means that I'm not going to be using it early on in the game since I don't want to go that low on Dawn that early. So yep, we're just going to mulligan and try to find those cards. And it looks like my opponent decided to keep their hand, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on ×2 to just get through my shuffling. One moment, please. Alright. And let's take a look at what our final opening hand is going to be. We're starting off with 2 1-cost Nico Ovius, a 3-cost Usohachi, a 3-cost Jaguar D Sol, and a 3-cost Dereshi. Let's do our counter check. We've got a 2k, 2k, and a 2k. Nice. So we went up in counter. We now have 6k counter at the start of the game. Not bad, but I am a little disappointed that we don't have any 1ks. This just means that if my opponent decides to swing at 5k at me or 7k at me, I have to give up 2 2ks, which hurts a little bit. But I do have 2ks in hand, and you can't really complain about that. So still happy to see we have a lot of counter in hand. Looking at the cards themselves, I am happy again to see the Nico Ovia, and I have 2 of them now, so I know I'm going to have access to some power boosts for only 1 Dawn. But I'm especially happy to see the 3-cost Jaguar D Sol. This is one of my blockers in the deck, and it's only 3 Dawn, so I can play it down for cheap in order to have a blocker on board to deal with some of these big attacks that might be coming at me. I'm also happy to see the 3-cost Dereshi. This is one of the card draw pieces in my deck. It lets me look at the top 5 cards from my deck and add up to 2 triggers from those 5 into my hand. So having access to some card draw means that I will be able to maintain a healthy hand size. Overall, this is a pretty good hand, and I am happy to be playing with this. So let's just get into the game. Fist bump to start the match. My opponent's going to kick things off with 1 Dawn, and then immediately tap it to play the when you're at sea, you fight pirates to go searching. And he finds the 6-cost Beer Luffy. Alright, we already know he has that in hand, so we know it's coming. Pass to me, I draw for turn. It is the 6-cost Nico Robin, and I go up to 2 Dawn for my Dawn phase. Nothing much to do here since I don't have any 1-cost plays, so we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn. My opponent's going to draw, go up to 3 Dawn for his Dawn phase. He's going to tap all 3 Dawn, and let's see what he plays from that. Okay, he's choosing to play the 3-cost Black Maria. With Black Maria, this is a very interesting ramp card for Purple Black Luffy, so I'm just going to take a quick pause and let's read Black Maria. Black Maria is a purple 3-cost 2k power special character with 2k counter and has the Animal Kingdom Pirates typing. She reads, activate main once per turn. If you have no other Black Maria characters, add up to 5 Dawn cards from your Dawn deck and rest them. Then at the end of your turn, return Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck until you have the same number of Dawn cards on your field as your opponent. And what's really funny is that normally people who play Black Maria just choose to get all 5 Dawn ramped. But in this case, my opponent was talking to me a little bit, and he told me that he knows that he's only going to be getting 1 Dawn back from a little combination that I'll talk about soon, so he only ramped 1 Dawn here. By going up to 4 Dawn, he's gonna have that. And then at the end of the turn, he's gonna have to go down to 2 Dawn to match how much I have. And then because of Purple Black Luffy's effect, he'll actually get 1 Dawn back as active and 1 Dawn back as rested. So he's gonna go back up to 4. Excuse me there. So that's why he only added 1 Dawn, just in case you were wondering. But let's continue. My opponent is gonna start off with a 5k swing at my life, which I choose to take. And it's the 5-cost Luffy, Egghead Luffy. It does have a trigger which lets me KO a 4 cost or less, but it looks like I choose not to use it here. I think that makes sense, just keep the counter in hand, and there's no point of really KOing the Black Maria. And then yep, my opponent ends the turn, going down on Dawn, and then thanks to lead ability, going back up on Dawn. So pass the turn to me. I'm gonna draw for turn, and go up to 4 Dawn for my Dawn phase. It is the 5-cost Sanji that I drew from my deck. And let's see what I choose to do here. I do have some options. I have enough Dawn to play the blocker. I have enough Dawn to play Dedashi to draw 2 cards. I know I have to trash one of my triggers in hand in order to ramp. And unfortunately, the only 2 brick triggers I have are the Saul and the Dedashi, so maybe I'm thinking about which one I want to trash here when I go for swing, because I do want to ramp this turn. So alright, we're going to start off with attaching 1 Dawn to my leader and going 6k banish at my opponent's life. And I choose to trash the Dedashi in order to ramp. I think that's fine because I do have the 5-cost Sanji, which lets me draw 2 and trash 1, so I don't really need the card draw at the moment. My opponent chooses to take it, and then I, for 3 Dawn, play out the 3-cost Jaguar D Saw. Pass the turn there, my opponent draws for turn and goes with the 6 Dawn, and they tap all 6 Dawn to play out the 6-cost Beer Luffy. He's gonna minus 2 Dawn, and then gain 1 Dawn back as rested and 1 Dawn back as active, and now his leader is 7k, which he's gonna use to go 7k with his leader at my life. So 7k is very high right now. I'd have to give up a 2k and 1k. I do have enough counter in hand, but I can also consider just countering out with my with my blocker, but I choose not to, and I decide to take the hit, and it's the 6-cost Jaguar D Saw. This card has a really powerful trigger as well, but unfortunately it doesn't work because I have to be at 7 Dawn or more, so I just add it to my hand. My opponent passes the turn with 1 Dawn active. I draw for turn. It is the 8-cost Doflamingo, and I go up to 7 Dawn for the turn. And I had to skip over it, but really quickly I will put up the 6-cost Beer Luffy there on screen, so let's just read it. As soon as I find the card, 1 second. There it is, sorry. Luffy is a 6-cost 7k power strike character with no counter and has the Straw Hat Crew typing, and says on play / when attacking, Dawn -2. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Dawn cards on their field, your Straw Hat Crew type leader's base power becomes 7k until the end of your opponent's next end phase. And so that's why this card is really bad for me right now. I'm trying to do banish swings with my leader, but his leader being 7k base means that I have to attach more Dawn on my leader in order to try to get some hit off. Normally I would be only trying to swing like 7k or 8k, but now I have to consider swinging like 9k or 10k, which is really unfortunate. And it itself is a 7k attacker, which means I have to deal with 2 big threats. On that last turn, I could have countered out of the 7k swing, maybe giving up one of my 2ks and one of my 1ks to maintain a higher life size. That would have been too bad, because I know I'm going to be taking bigger hits later. So I think I should have probably countered there instead. But alright, we ended up taking it, so let's see what I decide to do on my turn. I'm going to start off by tapping 5 Dawn here, and I'm going to play out the 5-cost Sanji. Since I am at 2 or less life, I get to draw 2 cards and trash 1. and this Sanji is also a blocker. In fact, I will just read it because it is an interesting card that is not normally played in Purple Yellow Robin. So 1 second, let me get the card up. Sanji is a yellow 5-cost 6k power strike character with 1k counter and has the East Blue / Straw Hat Crew typing. His ability says blocker, and on play, if you have 2 or less life cards, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. And so that's why I was okay with giving up Dershi early on, because I knew I had access to some card draw. And so playing that out means I'm establishing 2 blockers here. I get to draw 2 cards, which was really nice because we drew the 4-cost Frankie and the 3-cost Nico Robin. And now I get to trash a card, which I am going to choose the Doflamingo, which is a brick at the moment. So, really nice play here. I could have also played out the Saw, the 6-cost Saw that was in my hand. That would have let me draw 2 cards as well, but it's not a blocker. So I think establishing blockers now when I know big characters are coming at me is the better play. I'm going to attach 2 Dawn to my leader and go 7k banish at my opponent's life. This is what I was talking about. Not having, or my opponent being at 7k power means that I have to use more Dawn on my leader, which means I can't use it for anything else. My opponent gives me a 1k counter get out of that, and then I pass the turn. My opponent draws for turn, going up to 5 cards in hand, and now they are at 8 Dawn. And okay, something I noticed right now is that I forgot to ramp with my leader ability. So I am at 7 Dawn right now, and I could have been at 8 Dawn, which means that on the next turn I would have been at 10 Dawn. But I forgot to ramp. That's really unfortunate for me, and it's gonna hurt me later. So, yikes. Yeah, don't forget to ramp with Robin, please. We are trying to get to 10 Dawns so that we just have access to our full set of Dawns to use for a lot of things. My opponent is going to tap 6 Dawn to play out another 6-cost Beer Luffy. Oh man, that's going to be hard to deal with. It's going to make his leader be 7k, minusing 2 Dawn, and then thanks to leader ability, getting 1 Dawn back as active and 1 Dawn back as rested. And he's going to use his other Beer Luffy to go 7k at my leader. I'm going to choose the block with Sanji, and looks like I'm going to counter to keep it alive, so I'm going to give up a 2k here. I think that's a fine play. If I don't block here, I have to give up 2 cards, a 2k and a 1k. So by blocking with Sanji, I just have to give up only 1. And now my opponent is going to go 7k at my life with his leader. I could block again with my Saw. This time I just have to let it go though. Or I can give up another 2k and 1k, but that would be bringing my hand size down. I don't know if I want to be doing that. I guess it wouldn't be too bad. I do have the Luffy that I can trash right now and the Uzohachi. Yeah. Looks like I am going to choose to counter here. 2k and a 1k to get out of the 7k swing. I think that's another fine choice. I'm keeping my blocker alive and I'm maintaining the 2 life. If I go down to 1 life right now, I think my opponent's going to have a really powerful turn next, so I want to try to stay healthy there. My opponent's going to pass the turn with 4 cards in hand and 3 Dawn active. I'm going to draw for turn. I believe it was another 5-cost Luffy, and I go up to 9 Dawn for my Dawn phase. And this is where it's hurting me. I could have been at 10 Dawn right now, when I know I'm going to have to use as many Dawn as possible to try to swing. Not having that extra Dawn is going to hurt me a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to just tap 6 Dawn to play out the Jaguar D Saw. Since I'm at 7 or more Dawn, I get to draw 2 cards. It's the 3-cost Robin and 3-cost Saw. Both of them are blockers, so that's really nice to see. But yeah, here's the problem. I only have 3 Dawn left. My opponent is at 7k. So if I want to attack with my leader, I have to use at least 2 of those Dawn in order to swing. So that's a little unfortunate. If I had 1 extra Dawn, I would be at 4. That wouldn't make too big of a difference because I still would need to add 2 Dawn to my leader to swing. But at least I can use those 2 active Dawns for other things. Like maybe it's gonna be kind of crazy, but I could swing with the Sanji here Or I could have just gone for a bigger swing at my opponent's life, right? Just all 4 Dawn on leader, 9k swing, potentially. But, oh well. Okay, it looks like I am attaching 2 Dawn and just going 7k banish at my opponent's life. And my opponent just gives a 0 cost event. Oh, that's a win for me. He has to give up a 0 cost event for that. All right. And okay, something else. Yeah, something else that I missed earlier is if I had the extra Dawn, I could have done an 8k swing here, which would have been the same result, but it would have potentially forced out a 2k if he didn't have the 0 cost event. And I can only attack 7k here because I want to leave up 1 Dawn for a potential Gum Gum Giant that might be in life. If I had that extra Dawn, then I could have kept that one active and gone with that 8k swing. So just a minor thing there. Pass back to my opponent. They're going to draw for turn, going up to 3 cards in hand, and go to 10 Dawn for the turn. They have a really big board right now. I at least have 2 blockers, 2 life, and 7 cards in hand, with a good amount of counter. And my opponent is going to tap 9 Dawn to play the 9 cost Secret Rush Luffy. Wow, alright. I'm going to go ahead and find this card and put it up on screen, and let's take a read at it. Oh, 1 second. Pause. Alright, this Luffy is a purple 9 cost 10k power strike character with no counter, and has the Straw Hat Crew typing. His ability reads, on play, you may return 1 Dawn card from your field to your Dawn deck and draw 1 card. This character gains Rush during this turn. So this is what I mean by my opponent has access to these higher top end with Rush. I have to deal with these really big attacks coming at me right now, hence why the blockers are really important at this point in the game. So I have to deal with a 7k here, 7k here potentially, 10k here, and a 7k with leader because he most likely will use the Beer Luffy effect to give his leader plus 2k, or sorry, make his leader be a 7k base for the turn. So a lot of big swings coming at me. I have enough counter and I have the blockers, but you can see how much it's going to be burning my resources right now, or my defenses right now. But alright, let's continue. My opponent is going to start off with that 7k swing with one of the Beer Luffys at my life. And then yes, he does minus 2 Dawn and gains 1 Dawn back as active and 1 Dawn back as rested. And earlier, he only chose to return 1 Dawn from the 9 cost Luffy effect. So 7k swing coming at me right now. And I'm choosing to give up a 2k and a 1k to get out of this. Alright, couple things here that I notice. First thing is, if I can take a look at my hand again. Okay, so first thing is that he goes 7k at me. I could have chosen to do what I did last turn of blocking with the Sanji and giving up a 2k, meaning that I'd keep 1 extra card in hand. But I chose not to because he still has 3 attacks left with 2 Dawn active, which means that he could potentially attach those 2 Dawn to his leader to maybe go like 10k here, 9k here, 7k here, or maybe split it up to go 8, 10. Either way, those are bigger numbers, which means they would force a lot of counter from my hand. So I want to keep these blockers up so that I can just use it to get out of those big swings without having to burn my counter. So choosing to give up the 2k and 1k here I think was a fine choice. However, I chose to give up my 3 cost Nico Robin blocker. I know I have 2 right there and right here, which means it's okay that I gave up 1, but I think if I wanted to optimize, to the max, I probably should have given up the 5 cost Luffy. Right now I'm valuing the blockers way more than the Luffy, plus this Luffy can only KO a 4 cost or less, so it's not going to do much in this matchup when my opponent currently has a 9k, 6k, 3k, 9 costs, 6 costs, 3 costs, and 6 costs. Not to mention if my leader puts 1 Dawn on his leader, or my opponent puts 1 Dawn on his leader, all those costs go up by +1. So this Luffy isn't doing much for me. I probably should have just given up a 2k and that instead. Very minor thing, but something I could have just slightly optimized there. I would have had 2 blockers still in hand, so next turn if they are still in my hand, I could put down 2 additional blockers. Okay, yeah, sorry. We already got past this. So I give up the 2k and 1k. And now my opponent is going to go 7k with his other Beer Luffy. Oops. Only have 5 cards in hand, only 1 2k left. And here I'm choosing to block. And do I save the Sanji? Alright, looks like I do. I give up the 2k. I think this is fine. I know my opponent only has 2 swings left. So I'm feeling okay to maybe take 1. But my opponent is going to go 7k here. So I choose to take that. It's the 0 cost event. I cannot trigger. And then my opponent goes 10k with his 9 cost Luffy, which I just use the saw to block and let it die. So that burned a lot of counter from my hand, unfortunately. Back to me. I draw for the turn. It's the Gum Gum Giant, and I go up to 10 Dawn. So at least I have Giant and 0 cost event now, so defenses are still feeling pretty high. But you can see here, the 5 cost Luffy isn't doing much for me. So I could have had access to 3 blockers, which would have been kind of funny. But alright, I'm going to tap 6 Dawn, and I'm going to play out the 6 cost Nico Robin to trash the top card for my opponent's life. Not a bad play. I still have a blocker on the field. I am at 4 Dawn left. I think I really have to establish another blocker no matter what, because I only have 1 blocker and 1 life, and my opponent has a really big board right now. But oh man, I am taking the risk. Okay, we're gonna go 7k Banish with my leader. I don't know about this. Okay, my opponent taps 1 Dawn to play Gum Gum Giant, trashing a Zorojuro. And he's going to Dawn -2 and draw 2 cards. So he gets out of that. Then I'm going to attach 1 Dawn to my Saw and go 7k at the Luffy. I see what I was trying to do here. I think I was just trying to burn resources from his hand so that I can try to guarantee you at least 1 kill of one of his characters, which it looked like it worked out because he let the Beer Luffy die. I leave 1 Dawn up for Gum Gum Giant, and I still have 1 blocker. And let's see, in my hand, I have... one second. I have 1k, 1k, 4k, 3k. Plus potentially some more counter off of Gum Gum Giant. So I'm sitting at 9k counter in hand and 1 blocker and 1 life. Hopefully that's enough to keep me alive for 1 more turn. I am taking a really big risk by not playing out another blocker. Let's see if that pays off or not. Back to my opponent, they are at 9 Dawn. He's got to get at least 3 swings into me. So with 9k counter, if I let the Sanji die and I take 1 hit, I know that I can potentially have enough to counter out of the last hit and stay alive. But then I'll probably have to go for game next turn, so that's kind of scary. And wow, my opponent is choosing to attach... what was that? He has 5 Dawn left, 4 Dawn to his Black Maria. And go 6k at my leader, I believe. $6k is a really good number right now because I don't have a 2k in hand. That kind of hurts. I'm probably gonna have to over counter here with maybe the 0 cost event. I could block and 1k out of it, but I really need to keep the blocker alive just in case he goes for this really big swing with maybe the 9 cost Luffy. Oops, did not mean to do that. I could play Giant here and try to draw some counter, but having access to that 4k counter is going to be really important this turn. I know my opponent still has the 7k swing, 10k swing, and another 7k swing minimum with his leader, and he still has 5 Dawn up. And okay, I choose to give up 2 1ks to get out of this. That hurts a lot. Now my opponent is going to go 7k with the Beer Luffy, minusing 2 Dawn to make his leader 7k now. And then he gains 1 Dawn back as active and 1 as rested. So he has 6 Dawn. Yep, 6 Dawn as active now. I only have 3 cards in hand right now, and I'm hesitating on using the 0 cost event because if I do, I'm not going to have any cards for Gum Gum Giant. So I might have the Gum Gum Giant here in order to draw 2 more cards. Yep, we're going to Giant, trashing the Sol, minusing 2 Dawn, going plus 4k to get out of the swing, and then I draw 2 cards. It is the 5 cost Rosinante and 5 cost God Thread. At least 1k counter from the Rosinante, and a brick that I can use with the 0 cost event. He's going to attach what looks like 3 Dawn to his leader and go a big 10k swing at my life. I don't have the counter to get out of this. If I use my blocker here, it wouldn't be too bad, and then I can just take the last hit from the Luffy. Or I can just take the life. Oh, he actually went at the Sol. Alright. My bad. I thought he went at life, but okay. He went to the Sol. That's fine with me. Just let it die. And then, yeah, I think he's going 10k finally with his Luffy. I could block to try to stay alive, but I think I should just take the hit here, actually. I'll explain why in a second. Alright, so I do take the hit. It is the 5 cost Nami, and I'm going to go ahead and activate its ability, which means I can activate main and trash a trigger from my hand, and I can KO a 5 cost or less, so I'm going to KO the Black Maria. The KOing isn't the important part, it's just that I can draw 1 additional card off of the Nami ability, and I hit another Rosinante. And my opponent passes the turn with 4 cards in hand, 2 life, and 3 Dawn up. Alright, so I want to talk about this. I could have blocked that last turn with my Sanji and kept 1 life, but the reason why I didn't is because now I have the potential to maybe go for game. It's going to be really hard considering my opponent still has 4 cards in hand and 3 Dawn, but at least I have 3 attackers, which is the right number of attacks to deal with his last 2 life. Additionally, keeping the blocker up means that I could use it with its 6k power to maybe attack at my opponent's characters. That's also kind of risky. Either way, I just left myself the option to have another attacker with the blocker. But pass to me, I draw for turn, it's the 3 cost 2k counter Bej, and I go up to 10 Dawn. I also drew a Rosinante off of the Nami trigger earlier. Doesn't really help my case here. I could use it to try to draw 2 more cards, but this Rosinante is not a blocker, so that's not going to help. And so I'm trying to figure out, is there any world where I live here? And alright, we're just going to go ahead and attempt a 9k swing at my opponent's life, which they're going to Gum Gum Giant, of course. Taps 1 Dawn, Dawn minuses 2, then trashes a card from hand and draws 2 cards. So unfortunately, the plan to go for game is out the window. Playing the Rosinante right now would definitely be just like a Hail Mary play, trying to see what I can draw off of two cards. but I have to determine whether or not that's better than keeping the 0 cost in hand. Yeah, I was really considering it there. I was like, are drawing 2 cards right now better than the 0 cost in a Rosinante? Maybe not. And alright, I'm gonna just attach 1 Don to the Robin and go 7k at my opponent's Beer Luffy, which he counters out. And then here I choose to play the Rosinante in the end. I trash the 0 cost event to draw 2 more cards. It's a 2k and a 1k, so I ended up actually going down on counter. No, actually I did not, because I'd have to trash a card for a 0 cost event. But oh, I see. I guess the reason why I'm playing it is because at the end of the turn, if I'm at 7 more Don, which I am, I get to restand 2 Don, so that's not too bad. Now I'm kind of bluffing that I might have Giant in hand. I still have a blocker, and I have 4 cards in hand. I have 2 2Ks and 2 1Ks, so that's 6k counter. But I don't think I'm going to survive this next attack here because he only needs 1 hit to win. He's going to tap 1 Don to play the when you're at sea, you fight pirates to search top 3. Sorry, I forgot to mention that yes, the turn did pass, my opponent drove for turn, and then went up to 9 Don, and then he played the when you're at sea, you fight pirates. And of course I look away when he takes a card. Sorry, I'm gonna go back there. What did he pick? It's the 3 cost 2k counter Nico Robin. Alright, so I know he has at least 1 2k in hand. He's going to tap 4 Don and play out Frankie. Alright, this Frankie is a blocker, and on play he gets to -2 Don and then draw 2 cards, trash 1, but he chooses not to activate that, so he just wants the blocker out. And then he's going to go ahead and go 7k at my life with the Beer Luffy, minusing 2 Don and getting 2 Don, or 1 Don back as active and 1 Don back as rested for his leader to be 7k base. And I give up, I think, a 2k and a 1k there. Yep, down to 2 cards in hand. Trying to not block, since I would like the blocker to take a bigger hit if possible. He's going to go another 7k at my life, which I have enough counter for, another 2k and a 1k. And now he's just going to go 10k, which I just used the Sanji to block. Alright, so I survived 1 more turn with 2 characters still on the board. I still have all 10 Don, no cards in hand, and my opponent has 3 Don up, I think, 4 Don up, and 3 cards in hand with 2 life still. And a blocker. And what did I draw there? I did not see. Oops. It's the 5 cost Rosinante. Yeah, that's not helping right now. I think that's going to be game for me, so let's just see what I end up doing here. 4 Don on leader. We're just going to go 9k at my opponent's life, which my opponent just chooses to block, of course. We're going to attach 3 Don to the Rosinante and go another 9k at my opponent's life. Oops. Whoops. Jeez, I am messing up here. And he takes that, and then a last 3 Don on my Robin, go another 9k. Which he gives up a 2k and a 1k for to get out of that. So I'm all tapped out, no Don, 1 card in hand, no blockers, and my opponent still has his crazy board on the field. He's gonna go for a little bit of fun here. He's gonna tap 6 Don to play the 6 cost Rush Luffy, double Rush Luffy, I'll say, and he's gonna attack me with that Rush Luffy and go for game. And unfortunately, I take another loss. Rip. Well, let's see. How did this match go? Honestly, I don't think there was much I could have done because my opponent just got access to the 6 cost Beer Luffy quite early, and that meant I had to always use 2 Don on leader to even try to get a swing off. There was that one turn I forgot to ramp, but maybe in the end, I don't think that 1 Don would have really affected me too much after, going through the rest of the game. I did have enough blockers and I did do a good job trying to survive. However, I never established a character that could help me fight back at my opponent's board. So, yeah, overall, like I said, I thought it was going to be a rough matchup, and it ended up being just that. But if you saw anything different, or you thought I could have done something better, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, GG's to my opponent. And I will see you guys in the next game. Later. Until next time, remember, keep your minds fresh and your spirits free. See ya!